welcome in Celtics late night. Ben Vallis here, along with Jake Eisenberg and Jake. Celtics drop game 2 in classic Celtic-y style, I guess, harking back to 2024 against the Heat. 111, the Sixers put up against the Celtics 97. Jake Eisenberg was on the scene there in Boston as a fan this time, as opposed to a legitimate media member. Jake, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. Yeah, this time I was allowed to tell the refs to go F themselves. I always forget, what are the YouTube rules? Do I have to wait for 60 seconds before I can tell?
I think it's like 15.
Tell Mark Davis to go suck one. I don't even think the reffing was that bad. It was for me personally, the playoff losses hurt as I'm first ever game in person now that the Celtics have lost, making me 4-1 in my Celtics viewing career. I was hoping to keep it going tonight. I was very confident going into tonight, as I think all of us should have been. And it took quite the night from a shooting perspective from the Celtics and the Sixers for the Sixers to win this one. But always amazing to be in TD Garden. Some drunk guys in front of us. I'm very excited. 10-year-old behind me. It was fun.
Sure, the 10-year-old was privy to a lot of profanities,
especially
as the game reached its conclusion.
It's not, yeah. If you're not comfortable with your child hearing swear words, the Boston Garden is not the place to bring them.
Yeah, I once said some horrendous shit about Draymond Green with a small child front row in front of me. That's how it goes.
You signed that right away to be mad, I think, especially in the playoffs.
That's right. So I think a couple of hotbed items coming right off this one that everyone seems to be talking about, rightfully so. Philly, many more attempts from three in this one, 39 attempts from beyond the arc they put up in this one. Good for 48.7% against that of the Celtics, 26% on 50 attempts. So you win the margin on the attempts, but obviously the efficiency is a problem. And I guess the root cause for that issue, Jake, seemed to be the Celtics pick and roll defense on some of those high ball screens the Sixers were setting. So you had not so much a bird's eye view down there close to the court, but
not a bird's eye view.
What was your experience watching the Celtics defense get shredded a little bit tonight?
Yeah. Ironically, my view during the Celtics blog games from the very top, I thought is actually more beneficial for actually understanding the X's and O's and the coverages from, first world problem here being a lot closer. I was more just blown away by the physicality of the game. And but at the same time, I've watched some of the highlights and stuff back, and the Sixers and just made a lot of the shots that they missed in the first game. Part of it as well. I know this always happens. It's Monday morning quarterbacking is, why do the Celtics play drop coverage? Okay, well, what coverage would you like them to play? Would you like them to switch with Cater out there on Tyrese Maxey, impacting your defensive rebounding? Would you like him to play up to the level more, which they kind of went to a little bit late? And Maxey is incredible, just burning guys downhill. I thought the bigger problem was the screen navigation from the rest of the guys. And two, the game plan is to kind of we do want to limit, that's too many threes for the Sixers, but good adjustment by the Sixers hunting more threes. For them to win this series, this is the exact recipe, right? Celtics shoot like shit. You go nuclear, you hunt a lot more threes, specifically pull-ups. The Sixers were the 5th worst pull-up shooting team in the entire NBA this season at 31.2%. They weren't tonight. They weren't tonight, though.
It worked in game one. It worked for the early portion of this game. And even when the Celtics were making their run to get back in it in, I think, the early fourth, it stopped working again for the Sixers. They started to miss some of those more openish looks. And you're thinking, okay, here's the regression to the mean for the Sixers three-point shooting. The deep drop is beginning to work again for the Celts, but ultimately the Sixers just made the shots that they worked for, credit to them, but also that were kind of conceded by the Celtics as well. So I guess we can get to adjustments later, but I mean, they played in drop successfully in game one. You mentioned the screen navigation in game 2 here. Why do you suppose that is? Is it a lack of urgency, intensity, all the sort of like cop out terms that people throw out
Yeah.
there after a game like this? Like to some degree, that is legitimate. Like I think they probably felt very comfortable about themselves coming out of game 1, coming into this one. And do you think that that sort of played out a little bit in this one in terms of that screen navigation?
I guess it for me it's like the word choice. I just don't like the words lazy or like they weren't trying or anything. And like, man, everybody was fucking trying. The I don't know honestly how the referees do ref anything that's off the ball. Like the physicality with everybody grabbing on and off the ball and all the rebounds is just ridiculous in the playoffs. And like the stuff at the rim is a lot easier for them to deal with. But I thought the level of intensity, physicality wise, was there. I thought the Sixers brought it in a way they didn't in game 1.
Yeah.
Sure, was there maybe a little bit of a relaxing? Maybe you go up 30. Obviously, you kick the shit out of them in game 1. You go up 26-23 early. Everything's kind of rolling again. And it's just a combination of those things. Maybe you relax a tiny bit and it's a perfect storm of they get a couple of clean looks and they all go down. It's like that little moment of relaxing maybe doesn't kill you if they basically didn't miss a 3 for a quarter. At one point they were like 8 for their last 9. And so if they go 4 for 9 in that stretch instead, maybe you just win this game. Like they were just completely nuclear for a stretch for the entire first half. They end up like at 47% for the game, but they were 50 for earlier as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like I think that's like the number one story. I don't think Sixers fans sitting here are saying like much more than we need to take a lot of threes. We got to make a lot of threes, and the Celtics fucking need to miss them, and we did.
Yeah, 37-point second quarter for the Sixers there, which is kind of where all of that magic peaked for them. But they were good in other facets of the game. Like Paul George, I thought was like genuinely good in this game, and like the other look they went to quite a bit early, and then sort of like went back to a few times during the game was just like Paul George ISO on the block. And he was like pretty efficient, either passing out of that or just like turnaround midi out of that. I don't know how sustainable that is for the duration of the series, but a couple of times we saw Peyton Pritchard down there where he had success in game 1 defending Paul George in similar situations. So might have just been like the energy of the rest of the success from the Sixers offense that Paul George was feeding off. But I thought he was quite good in this game. He was quite like active on the boards as well, quite active defensively. And that was the other area where I thought the Sixers were quite good is like they were just tighter and there was a lot more pressure, especially like on the ball and on the Celtics ball screens as well. From the Sixers perspective, I just thought they made the Celtics work that much harder. And in conjunction with the magnet ball on the other side, just put quite a lot of pressure on the Celts at home in front of their fan base to try and perform and convert and execute on some of their attempts. And as the game went on and as time continued to run down, it just felt like it just got tighter and more pressurizing for the Celtics, and they just couldn't convert in the end.
Yeah, Paul George, I thought, huge. 19 points on 13 shots, and that includes going 3 for 6 from the free throw line. So, 7. So he was really impressive, and it was on some tough buckets. And in some moments where the Celtics were making a run, man, it was brutal. The Celtics cut the lead to 2 in the fourth quarter after it feels as if it's been impossible to get the lead under 7, 8, 9, 6, and then they push all the way to 2, and then it feels like, okay, it's happening. And Sixers come right back and hit 2 threes, and that was the game. And then the Celtics let go of the rope after that. And Paul George, I thought, was a big part of that. And I think that from what I can tell online, I forgot that, playoff losses bring out a lot of emotions. And that's fair. The overreactions are going to be there. But I thought the Sixers took the game. The Celtics can play better. And I think I like watching Tatum in between timeouts and like as the game was winding down, he was very upset, very pissed off, which is good, I think. And like I thought the Jays played great for the most part. Tatum ends the game as the only dude as a positive on the entire team, which is very on brand. 19 points, 14 boards, 9 assists. He entered the fourth quarter with 9 assists though, and couldn't get any more to go down. He played 39 minutes, and Jalen, while I thought struggled early, 36 points on 24 shots.
Yeah, not bad.
I mean, that's fucking ridiculous. He was trying to bring them back, and during the second half warm up, when the teams switched sides, the Celtics were like right in front of us warming up, and great producing from Ben to remind me to take some videos for Patreon, because I am bad at that. I'm too busy just mentally touching myself watching.
Being present, you might say. Both got different ways of phrasing that.
Tatum's like right in front, right in front of us at the wing, and Jalen comes over and like bit of a clap, and they're just kind of talking to each other. I thought they were both fantastic. I thought they both brought it in the second half. Defensively, I thought Tatum was excellent as well. And you just needed more from everybody else. You know, the scoring efficiency from Tatum wasn't there. It was for Jalen. Derek and Pritchard are two places you have to look at more than anybody else, I think.
Yeah. I think Hauser as well, unfortunately, after a strong game one performance.
Yeah, I just think that, no question. But like the volume of Derek and Pritchard, either, that like Derek's 3 for 12, Pritchard only being 2 for 8. The fact that Hauser and Pritchard are both 2 for 8, I'm more upset that Pritchard only took 8 shots.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
He just has to. How many times have we seen him cook big men? And there were moments where he had, I felt like, opportunities, and he kind of got stuck under the basket. It was, I thought, a lack of aggression from Pritchard. But yeah,
Derek too, though, 2 of 10 from 3. Like he did have quite a lot of those, the defense just shades over to JT or JB just a little bit, just enough to give Derek the shot that he's had a lot of success with after his first year and a half in Boston, and just didn't have it tonight. And all season, I know particularly yourself and Spoonie have been championing this Derek doesn't need shooting efficiency to succeed. And still plenty of aspects of that. And particularly in game one, I thought that he played particularly well, even though not shooting with particularly high efficiency. But in this game, we just needed it because we weren't getting it from anyone else, really. Any other role players. I think there was a comment further up that the Jays had 97 of the team's however many points, or kind of been that many because they had 97 in total. But a lot of the rest of the team's points, we just didn't get anything from the role players tonight. And Derek is basically number 3 in the big 3, I suppose. Absolutely. If you're going to get it from anywhere, kind of needs to be Derek, and unfortunately it's just still not there, despite Lethal Shooter coming in during the play-in break, apparently to no effect whatsoever.
No, very odd. Come on, Lethal Shooter, you got to use more spikes or, I don't know, bullets, animals in your workouts. Yes, you're right. We have been championing the Derek White doesn't need to, be an elite efficient scorer, but this there's only so far you can push that reality, right? So he's 2 for 10. He shot 33% from 3 this year. Could you give you one? Could you have gone 3 for 10 instead of 2 for 10? And he goes 3 for 12, so 25%. At least he was at 39% from the field this year. So if he had just done that, his normal bad shooting efficiency from this season at, what was he for the season in the end? 53% true shooting. Wow, it did end up being that low. If he had just gotten that tonight, that probably would have been enough to put us in a clutch game, as opposed to struggling to get back in the game throughout the entirety of it. So you can't go 25-25 splits. There's a limit to Derek White's impact powers. That's one step too far. But it was true for the whole team.
Yeah.
Well, so okay. Would you have pulled any different levers? Because we haven't talked about Cater, Vooch, or Scheinman, who played significant minutes. Any of those directions you want to go? Looking at Joe, could he have pressed a different button?
I mean, for me, not to parrot everyone on social media right now, but I think that you need to be a little bit more dynamic with the defensive coverages on the pick and roll. I think I felt like every man and their dog could identify that it wasn't working particularly well, and the stick-to-itiveness of that kind of defensive coverage. I know that Cater came more up to the level late, but it was clearly too late. Yeah, no. And so like I found myself sitting there being like, oh, do we need some Tatum at the 5, or is it too early to pull that lever? And it just felt like I felt the Celtics were getting decent enough looks. At that point, there was this sort of poison energy across the team where like their open looks weren't converting, unfortunately. But defensively, it just felt like there was a lot more that you could at least try because of how clearly the coverages they were throwing at that high ball screen for Philly just like was not working.
I'm torn because I like, yeah, in hindsight, right? It's like, yeah, just do something different because it could be lost, right?
Yeah, exactly.
On the other hand, we pull it within 2, and I think a lot of people were like, yep, here it comes. The tide is turning. This ridiculous devil magic night is flipping back the other direction, and I think Missoula believes in his game plan, and I do think a lot of tonight was and Cater we haven't talked about, and someone we've been just showering in praise for months now. In game 1, in foul trouble and like self-inflicted foul trouble as the game went on as well, which was very unnecessary. Tonight, I did not feel him at all in large stretches. And what's been great about him has been his defensive versatility, his ability to play and drop and be more up at the level. He needs to play better, and he has played better throughout the season. And so it's like if he's could you have gone small? Maybe they weren't really killing you on the glass, and you actually ended up winning the offensive rebounding battle at 18-12. You did give up 12 offensive rebounds though, which is a lot more than you typically do give up, despite generating a bunch of your own.
But you just go small and switch everything like because it feels like such a last resort. And like for game 2, I just don't know if you're at that point yet. I don't feel a little desperate.
Yeah, I think. I just Missoula believed that this would work, and I do. Fucking Drummond, by the way, hitting a corner 3.
Fuck off.
After watching him in the warm-ups shoot 5, miss all of them. One of them was an air ball, and me and Dad were like, "That's great. He can have that all night. Perfect."
What does the Cater like assertion look like to you? Is it just because like we've had a lot of success with like Cater out of the short roll, I think, especially since Tatum's come back as well. They've got a lot of like connectedness there. Is that like a way that you're looking at shredding the coverages that Philly are throwing at us, or are you like just throwing it to him down low? Because he had an awesome like post maneuver on Drummond, but that's kind of only one of one. What does a more assertive Cater look like to you?
Yeah, I mean, offensively, I think I wouldn't necessarily change a ton. Would have liked him to get a couple extra rebounds, maybe, but they were more physical on the pick and roll coverages. Jason wasn't as comfortable getting him the ball in those like short roll pockets. I just think for the Cater assertion is defensively and on the boards because he's bigger than Boner. Drummond is washed, like he should be. And we hold him to this expectation now, have the ability to wreck some of these games. And like Plan J in the chat is echoing you, like you don't think there's room for any small ball switchable lineups. It's funny because I've been someone who's been like so pro Tatum at the 5, like small ball, going back years now. I just think that we don't need to. I think this was kind of an outlier game, and overreacting can be just as dangerous.
Yeah, it does put a lot more of a load on JT as well, who self-professed from his perspective is still rehabbing to some degree. So I don't know if you want to put that on him. I think as it gets later in the series, if we're still seeing the same difficulties and we're still seeing a lot of Philly magnet ball, then we'll start to crack out strategies such as that. But I definitely found myself considering it in the later stages of the game. What sort of things were being said about Nikola Vucevic in the crowd there in Boston? Because it didn't feel like a particularly good game from Vooch again in this one. And just, all the things he talked about needing from Cater. Like, I know that we're not expecting that from Vooch in this one, but he just feels like the epitome of soft and like on a different plane to the rest of the Celtics, who as a team have collectively like elevated their game to have a lot of this great physicality to it. Vooch is just like not there at all.
Yeah, the post up against Grimes that he blew when we were like really needed points to try and shrink the lead. I was actually stunned at how many people around me did cuss him out. He got a huge ovation like coming in multiple times. People like Vooch. And honestly, I thought he was good in game one for the most part. And between the second half of the Knicks game, the Pelicans game, granted they had nobody, and then the game one, he was starting to string some better moments together. But I do agree with you as far as that feeling goes. Like I talked about it with Spoonie. Like, how do you approach this? Because you should be able to beat the Sixers with Vooch. You do want to have that button to press, because having more buttons to press is better. But maybe you probably, and again, hindsight, you should have tried Gaza. Maybe he gets you a few off more, because offense was a big problem. And he's been a better shooter. He's been a better offensive rebounder. I know the passing has been there for Vooch, and I thought it was there in game one. But yeah, just press the button. You're down. You're down in the game. Let's give it a go. Even for a few minutes. But yeah, it's always easy to sit here afterwards and play that game. I just point the finger more at Cater than I do to Vooch, because I'm not convinced Gaza solved the issues tonight. Because if everyone's biggest problem is the drop coverage, well, so that's not going to change with Gaza, because we're not switching with him. And that brings us back to the small ball lineup. And maybe that was the answer, because our defense was incredible. But I think that was a miscalculation in game one by Nick Nurse and the Sixers, because they tried to, I think, test JT's ability to switch, which failed spectacularly. And I really enjoyed that. But they didn't go at him at all with Maxey and Edgecombe, because they were like, it was straight back to what it used to be like. Tatum is essentially a cornerback one. Patrick Surtain, Christian Gonzalez, we're not going anywhere near him. That's what it felt like for the most part. I thought tonight.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Other than I do not recognize those names.
Sorry, yeah.
Sure. I believe you. A few more things on game one before we look ahead. On game two before we look ahead to game three. Tyrese Maxey, better in this one, more aggressive in this one, and yet 29 points on 28 field goal attempts. Like, not particularly efficient at all, but I just thought the overall pressure he put on our defense, and if anything, the 9 assists is more concerning to me, because it's indicative of the involvement he got from the role players. So like Kelly Oubre Jr., 12 points, Paul George, 19 points, obviously like fucking 30 from BJ Edgecombe as well.
Dude.
And Drummond was like on the terrible player spectrum, he was on the best possible end of that spectrum, I thought, as far as like what you can expect out of Andre Drummond. So he was generating like a team performative level of offense, and like we definitely didn't see that from him through the later stages of the regular season. We definitely didn't see that in game one. So for me, it's more concerning those 9 assists rather than the scoring output. That is something that we need to fear, I guess, going forward.
Yeah, I mean, the 9 assists is probably a little bit inflated just because they couldn't miss, but maybe not though, because a lot of the like fucking VJ threes were just pull-ups. But 29 points on 28 shots, you got to live with that. Like he's a really good player, but I think you're right. And that was our defensive kind of scouting report game plan coming to the series was you funnel Maxey inside of the 3-point line. You want him taking 30 shots, and even if he makes 17 of them, make more of them 2-pointers. Even the split tonight, 28 field goals, 12 of them threes. You want that number probably to be like 9. But that for Maxey is okay. It's the VJ, dude.
Yeah.
Holy fuck. Second time this season he's done this to the Celtics. Get
a fucking hand up.
There was one late where they just, again, I think this goes back to the just play better button. There was one late, whether it was a miscommunication or just a lack of execution getting over the screen. He's just butt naked at the top of the key, and he's already has flames shooting out of his orifices, and he knocks it down.
Yeah.
Like, is that because Joe Mazur needed to change the coverage, or because we need to get over a screen and force him into like a floater range shot? I think it's the latter.
Yeah, agreed. I also think that we had a painful new entry into the Chamber of Secrets in this one, Jake, where early in the game, curious to hear what this was like in the Garden before you knew what was to come, but the Jaylen Brown poster. Incredible moment. And the Jaylen Brown dunks are lesser and lesser as he ages, which is to be expected, but we got a good one tonight.
Oh, it was awesome, dude. Because like he got around. I forget who he got around, but it was early when they were kind of struggling to manufacture some points, and it was just a moment where Jalen decided to put his head down and fucking destroy the rim. Yeah, the Garden enjoyed that one, I'll say.
Well, what was your vantage point for that? Because I know you were close to the court, but was it on your side?
So I was on the opposite side, sadly. So I wasn't.
Okay.
I was still fucking close, but
Yeah.
and I had a really good view of it.
Okay.
Straight downhill. Yeah, man. He just, and unfortunately the best view from a dunk perspective was the first half when VJ posted like the whole team, and me and Dad were like, holy shit. Like he was unbelievable tonight.
Yeah.
One of the coolest plays we saw, it was early in the game. Tatum had an assist to Hauser for 3 in the corner, and the way that we were sitting, we basically, like the way Tatum looked and passed, we were directly behind him, like basically right looking at the zero, and it felt as if we were making the pass, and we could just see the ball go directly into Hauser's hands, and then he knocked it down. We were like, oh my God, that was really fucking cool. Here we go. Yeah. It was like 17-13, 5 minutes to go on the first. Tatum's kind of post up, edge comb. He spins to his right, and then just, oh yeah, it's nice. Hauser knocked it down. That was at the moment. Yeah, like early in the game, it was like, oh man, we've nailed it. 26-13. Tatum's got like 10, 5, and 5. Defense is cooking. Hauser's knocking down shots. This is what it's all about.
I know your pain, dude. My wife and I went to Boston for our honeymoon and went to game 1 and 2 of the first seed Celtics, Isaiah Thomas Celtics versus the Bulls, the Rondo Bulls.
Oh, shit.
And we lost both of those games. And as I'm like leaving the garden, my Bulls friend is texting me being like, suck shit, you went all the way to Boston, you lost both games. But we flew to Chicago for game 6 and saw them eliminate the Bulls, the Gerald Green run. So all's well that ends well, but I digress. Anything else on this game before we move on?
Did you find that the losses hurt less being there?
No.
No?
They hurt. They were amplified.
Amplified. Fair enough.
It's daytime here, right? So like I can, and the world out there in the sunny streets of Sydney do not know about the Celtics, so you can kind of disconnect.
Yeah, that's fair. I think if I was going to more games, it would eventually, like the novelty entertainment side of things would be less powerful, and eventually I would turn into the same emotional, distraught person. But for this, all intents and purposes, we were pretty grateful just to be there, be in the building.
For sure.
And I think like 1-1 is okay, as well.
Plenty of that going on around the league.
Holy shit. Yeah. 5 of 8 series are now 1-1. And that's what sucks as well. Like maybe we would like to segue is like, it was as of 6:45 p.m. Eastern time. It felt like everything was lining up really nicely for the Boston Celtics. And I tweeted, hey Celtics, everything's lining up really nicely. It'd be like really cool if we could capitalize and get out of this series in 4 or 5 games.
5 still on the cards. I've just put the poll up. This is the first time I've ever used the poll in StreamYard, so you can vote on how you think the series will end. As a means of like segueing to game 3, like how do you feel? Like are you like, okay, like typical Celtics, like dropping game 2 at home, no worries, like we've seen this time and time again in multiple iterations of the Celtics, and like they typically in the first round always come back and win, or are you like on alert based on what you saw tonight?
Both.
Yeah, okay.
Both. And this was our conversation at the end of the podcast a week ago when I asked Spoonie, how do you feel about going into the playoffs? And we've been through a lot as Celtics fans. Yes, these are like first world problems when it comes to an NBA team, is that we've had a lot of painful playoff losses. Thankfully, it's culminated in a championship, so it makes the losses now, for me personally, slightly less painful. But I was excited and terrified because I know what could happen in the playoffs. I know what always happens in the playoffs to everybody, basically. Unless you're a 2024 Boston Celtics level team, or you're that fucking good where no one can mess with you, then even that year, We lost game 2 in both the first and second round.
Yeah.
And then we went on to destroy the Pacers and, well, not lose games in those 2 series. I'm very confident, but game 3 must win.
It's the pressure. It's because and
must win, Ben.
Cedric, yeah, absolutely. Cedric Maxwell, will criticize me for my mentality or lack thereof. But like, absolutely a must win. And just for me, the fear of the pressure now, like it's an uncomfortable feeling now. Sitting down to watch game 3, fuck, we have to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hanging on every possession. I can't really enjoy it. Even tonight, like I don't really have any notes. Like I couldn't really watch the game. I could only feel the game. I think that's why we're all here and we do this pod, because we all sort of suffer from that affliction. But we've just entered that stage of playoff anxiety where like it is what it is now. And yeah, game 3, absolutely a must win, because the risk of the momentum of Philly. Game 4, they're up 2-1. They've got all the momentum. One more probably puts the Celts away. Like, that's a tough situation to be in. And it was, like you said, it was on the cards of like, just take care of business at home. You just, the classic thing, if you roll into Philly, you just got to win one of them. You come back and you win it in game 5. Like, easy stuff. Like, classic, like, series winning formula. And now that's fucking gone. Yeah. And you absolutely have to win game 3. Otherwise, you just put yourself in way too an uncomfortable position. And like, I don't care how much Jaylen Brown in the post-game presser wants to say, we've grown as a group. We trust our young guys like Bailey Scheiman and Jordan Walsh, who have like no playoff experience. Like, we don't want to put them in that position. So you have to win game 3.
Yes. I strongly agree, man. You know what? You definitely, and like losing to the Knicks sucks. Imagine losing to the Sixers. Something that's never happened in our lifetime.
I know. It would be a generational failure.
Yeah, it would be. So the odds for the series are now still at -500 for the Celtics, which is not surprising. But now it's just, I would say, more likely than not that the series goes 6. Like winning 3 in a row is very possible. But winning 3 in a row in the playoffs is hard. So it's probably more likely to go 6 than it is to go 5, even if it's slightly. I was saying the exact same thing about the Knicks last night. I'm like, it's just hard for this to go and win 3. So this is perfect for the Celtics. You can get out of this thing of 4. Knicks go 6 or 7. You come into a series where they're getting tired. You're fresh. Jason Tatum, he's ramping up. He's played 39, 40 minutes, 4 games, gets another week off.
The good news is I don't think either of the Jays fear the city of Philadelphia, the people of Philadelphia, or the majority of the players on the Philadelphia 76ers at all, and have demonstrated a lot of comfort and success going into Philly and winning. So I'm not so fussed about like the away game situation. I'm not worried about the atmosphere in Philadelphia, that kind of thing.
That's our specialty.
Yeah, if they came back, for game 5 up 3-1, like I wouldn't really be surprised either. The key is like, you want to try your best to play less games than New York in the first round. And so for that reason, you still need to like decisively take care of business. Yeah.
I think it's very likely, very possible.
6 games is tough for me, Jake. we can't have that.
I don't want that either. I don't want this. I want 5. Trust me.
So we're not going to do this all night, but we probably need to wrap talking about game 3. Jeez, for some reason it's hard for me to count playoff games tonight. Apologies. Game 3, what do you expect to change on both sides?
I just want us to just make a couple shots. That'd be good.
That would be nice.
I actually do think that there's something to the confidence. I've always said like that's why I actually wanted the 3 seed. Maybe not because we would have ended up with the Hawks instead of the Sixers, but I like us as a road team in these series, especially when you're like in a Knicks kind of scenario. I like just getting the head start. Like I trust this team to win one of the first 2 on the road easily, and then they're into the series, and now they're good. They suck at the beginning of this series. It's like all of Tatum's best games are late in the series.
Yeah,
all of the best games. Fuck, I don't know. I honestly don't expect them to do much differently to start the game. I really don't. I think the biggest difference is get over the fucking screens and funnel them into Cater. And Cater, move your feet, get back on defense. Stop. Don't pick up dumb fouls. Because like you should be able to play this team straight up and beat the shit out of them.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to like go under these screens. You can continue to chase over them, but you need to do so with more of an attachment and with more continuity in your intensity, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like you just need to be more consistent with those coverages rather than I don't know. Slacking off is not the right term, but they just seem to be a step behind, essentially, on a lot of those on the screen navigation, as you said earlier, Jake. So I would just expect more like mental acuity and physicality in their approach to screen navigation. I think essentially, and probably making a few more shots, like you said.
And like at the end of the day, it's probably true that the Sixers did play with more energy and more urgency because one team always has to play with more effort and urgency, even if it's by like 1%, right? And the team that's down in the series is always going to be that team. Doesn't mean that team wins. That team was the Sixers tonight, but they also happened to shoot out of their minds while the Celtics shot like shit. So it should flip back the other way now. The pressure's now, I think, on the Celtics. And if you add a little bit of like that juice to the obvious talent advantages, I'm guessing the Celtics are favored by 10 again, which like obviously doesn't mean anything. But the Celtics are 7.5. Yeah, that's a like massive line for a road playoff game. So,
yeah, if I had to bet, the Sixers aren't going to shoot 49% from three again on 39 attempts. So we'll still outshoot them attempts wise, margin wise, and hopefully we get a bit of a progression Celtics wise and regression Sixers wise to the mean. They did seem to be quite effective in like just blowing up our like ball screen actions at the top of the paint, and late in the game, like Jalen banged down a three. It wasn't particularly open, but we ran like a pin down for him out of the corner. And I wonder if we go to like those side of the court actions more just to sort of spice it up variety wise and mix it up in terms of what kind of defense Philly needs to play. I don't know if we'll go to that initially early, but I wonder if we switch to something like that sooner in the game if we have similar troubles.
Yeah, late March. We didn't even really talk about the turnovers today. Some really bad live ball ones early. I'm with you though. Get the Jays off the ball, have them coming off those pin downs, get them on the move. Get like, I like attacking Maxey in ISO for sure, but make him navigate screens, make him deal with Cater off the ball. They can get through a Jaylen Brown screen or whatever. Just put a shoulder into him.
For sure.
I can get in there, son.
Get in there, son. Absolutely. I can get in there. It's 2 days. 2 days.
That also sucks.
Whatever happens. What do these days look like for you? Are you hanging around in the States for much longer, or do you have a painful flight home ahead of you, having to sit in this sort of anxiety pocket?
Well, it's good from that perspective because once I found out the schedule because I was like originally going to go home, I had a flight in 2 days from now or 3 days from now, and the game 2 was much earlier than I kind of thought, so I changed my flights. So I'm leaving tomorrow morning.
Okay.
But, so tomorrow my flight's at 2 p.m., 6 hours to LA, 6-hour layover, 14-hour flight to Sydney, 4-hour layover, 2-hour flight to Hobart. But so the best thing about it being a 2-day layover, 2 days off between games 2 and 3 means I'm going to be back in my comfy home in time for game 3, which means I'll be available to walk us through the best win of the playoffs for the Boston Celtics.
Yes, I love to hear that. Well-timed journey indeed. All right, well, it's been a lot of fun following your travels over there. And I was sorry that I was in Japan when you were doing your thing over there, because it would have been fun to obviously not be there with you, but just to chime in remotely and do fun podcast-related stuff. But it looked like an awesome time, man. So congrats again. That was awesome.
It was. And shout out the people of Boston. Shout out everybody. But yeah, and thank you to you just for like fucking thumbnails, all that stuff. But yeah, hopefully if everything comes together, we'll be doing it actually together in the next season, early in the year.
It'll be interesting to see what access we are granted, if any, at that point in the season. But we'll have a crack at it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, we'll leave it there. That's going to do it for this one. We'll be back later in the week. I think hopefully with Spoonie as well and Jake on these fair shores of Australia.
Yes.
Love your work, Jake. Until next time. Go Celtics.